ethics and privacy in mind. As we mentioned, we run co-design workshop and interviews at our pilot universities, and these sessions gave us rich insights into how students and teachers interact with the digital learning tools, what kind of support they need, and how they envision an effective learning environment. As for the second stage, which was to shift our focus toward the educational design, we wanted to ensure that the platform supports real, measurable learning, particularly within the field of chemical engineering. The first step was to review the core syllabi and lab activities anti-UA and polymy, and this helped us understand the learning goals, the competencies that students are expected to develop, and how they are currently assessed. Based on this, we developed a learning experience design that blends the traditional learning with adaptive and VR enhanced strategies. The goal of that was to ensure that students follow personalized learning paths while still achieving the overall course objectives. A key part of this phase was defining the simulation scenarios, which can be immersive, story-driven experiences delivered through VR that connect with the real course content. Next, based on all of that information, we tried to bring HECOF to life. We turned the learning design into a fully functioning system through agile development, and we began by building the core VR infrastructure. This included creating interactive environments, lifelike avatars, gesture tracking, and even shared virtual spaces where students can collaborate. And to make the experience engaging, we developed a gamification platform that adapts to each learner's needs and contexts, whether they're working alone or with peers before or after class. Finally, regarding the final step that we took, the pilot testing, we wanted to put everything into practice and see how it performs in real educational settings. We worked closely with our university partners in Greece and Italy to recruit students and prepare the classrooms for the pilot studies. Teachers and learners were trained on how to use the HECOF system, what VR means for education, and how their progress would be tracked through the platform. Once everything was in place, we ran live pilot sessions observing how the system performed in practice. These sessions, of course, were video recorded, monitored by technical partners, and supplemented by direct feedback from the students and teachers, both during and after the sessions, through pre- and post-evaluation questionnaires. Lastly, we evaluated how students respond to the combination of the AI, the gamification, and the immersive VR, looking at both the educational benefits and any concerns or barriers they have experienced. Of course, this was crucial in identifying areas for improvement, and it fed directly into refining the HECOF system for its next iteration. Lastly, on my presentation, I want to wrap up the overview of the HECOF's development and the piloting journey so far. We have moved generally from a bold vision to a working solution, blending the AI-driven personalization with immersive VR learning environments. We have built it, we are testing it, and we are learning from the experience. Now, what we want to do is to hear from the universities who brought HECOF into the classrooms. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to walk through, firstly, the VR and the platform that we have developed. And then we will hear from the universities, their experience when they were piloting the system. So I would like to give the floor to Christian Tismer, who is going to speak about the first step, which is the VR content that we have developed, and then we will move forward with the platform and then the experience from the universities in the pilots. Of course.
Thank you very much. My name is Christian Tismer from Namibia. Yes, full stack software developers for using frontends, user frontends, middleware, and also backends. in this project, we developed the extended reality experience for the students. And we are also active in other education, therapy, and industrial projects. Next slide. One back, please.
Sorry.
Indeed, let's start our introduction to HECOF with a quote from the university, the head of University of Hagen. She said, XR is the next big thing after AI for education. And we were very happy to be part of the consortium of HECOF, integrated with our VR solution to great adaptive learning platform. After the VR demonstration will be followed up by Joanna, our partner on adapting before. Slide. For our part, we developed several parts. The VR classroom editor that should enable content creators and teachers to develop content for the higher education classroom of the future. The VR app that enables the students to do the exercises. It is based on an application for Microsoft Windows and possible to do the exercise with a connected VR device. To be also digital inclusive, it is possible to use the exercise in a just desktop version that is needed for people who are sensitive for VR, who have motion sickness, but they also need to do the exercises. And it is also possible to do the exercises on cheaper devices if there are not enough VR devices available. And indeed, we supported the development of the VR content for both pilots, the NTUA use case about the chemical extraction process, and the polymer use case with bioreactor assembly and usage. And indeed, it is integrated to the whole HECOF platform with adaptive learning platform, where the performance of the user in the VR exercises is estimated, gives them challenging next steps. But it is also possible to do the exercises in a standalone version, and there is no connection to the backend. Our version we will demonstrate is the non-integrated standalone version. Okay, next slide. Here are some impressions from the editor. The left side, you can see the NTUA use case where the laboratory for the chemical extraction is shown. And on the right side, you can see the polymer use case with all the parts of the bioreactor. And in the middle, there's a logic editor. It's a node-based system with a low-code, no-code approach to make it possible to configure and connect things. And here are some impressions from the experience. I think I don't talk too much about it because we will show it in the demo. Important is what I said previously. It could be used as a full immersive VR experience. Could be also used on the desktop version. And it is possible to be controlled by the VR controllers. Hand control is also implemented with hand recognition. And indeed, on the desktop version, we need mouse and keyboard to control it. Can we switch to the other?
I was also wondering. Which possible to share the slide exercise again? This one. Okay. Think we are on board. It's developing parts of the software and also the contents for the pilots. Currently, we can see on the projector this experience from inside the VR. Something similar to be set up, and the exercise will start at the locker room where the students need to put on protective devices. Security is important and chemical stuff. And it is also student get a first touch with the VR to understand and things. Ready? Okay, so I am in VR now. And this is the locker room.
What you can see on the board normally is also voice text. Okay, now my mind, 50 seconds. And you get also a voice command what to do. First, you have to put on the code by grabbing it, then protective gloves and protective glasses. After that, you can enter that. There, then I have now get some instructions first before we start. That is the use case of HUA, the chemical extraction. If you want to explain something about
I will do it afterward.
you do it afterwards. The exercise is designed, it is possible to make failures, and the adaptive learning is implemented. The exercise can be done on 3 levels. First, there's a introduction of entry level where all devices and objects in the exercise are explained. The second level is a guided experience where student is guided what to do next and perform it. There are also potential failures, choosing wrong objects, choosing wrong wrong materials. We switch to the video.
No, he switched the exercise to the second level exercise.
I'm just not hearing any sound, but we're just not hearing.
No, sound is not possible to hear, but that.
But it is connected to the speaker some way.
The last level is a free exercise where the student has to do the exercise without guidance. And there's a feedback to the AI. background about the performance of the user, estimation, value performance. By the way, she performed also with the results. Are all steps done? Are they done in the right order? Are they choosing the right objects? You see, Jason is demonstrating the end controlled version. So I would ask the implemented features. Look for the right feature now. We actually is trying to just take the wrong material. Yes, the learning that's its right one. Now we also have to take the right solvent. It's basically water. Well, the exercise symbol, we used something like snap fields. It is just enough to grab the right object, bring it here to the position where it is done. And then we can go to the next step. Now we can see how it's configuring the apparatus for the microbyte structure. For the snap fields, that was a decision to even make it simple for the students who had no experience with VR. But successful experience and learning exercise. Snap field you can see is highlighted in orange in the microwave device. Instructions one increasing slightly higher supplement. For the next device, send it huge. Just standard then take the result and pour it into my computer. That is point in the integrated version. Now you would come back to the Erasmus platform that the result. Important for the VR experience is design it to have it not too long. Recommended is something about 20 minutes in VR because it is special load on the plane. Then switching between VR and desktop experience makes it pleasure for the moment. Activated but not overloaded. Oh, are we in time? Should show the other exercise or should
think
we
we-
hand over to?
I think we can move to
Okay. Thank you very much. Jason, any questions for me while otherwise I hand over to my colleague from the adaptive learning. And if there's some time left after the event, anyone is welcome to file their experience. Hey, Joanna.
Thank you for coming here. I'm Angelos from Academy, and today I will just briefly discuss what we've done in terms of AI-based adaptive learning, and then do a demo. So I should probably start seeing the slides. First of all, I want to spend just a few minutes to talk about what is the role of AI in adaptive learning. So why do we need AI and why do we need adaptive learning? First is in order to be able to build an accurate profile of the learner, what they know, what they don't know, and how accurate they remember different aspects. So that is one of the first role. Why? Because it's very easy for the AI to start building and propagating the knowledge that they get across all the map of knowledge items, of concepts in a course. Then the second part is when it starts to customize the learning. What it means is, I'm doing now an experience. What is my next step? What is my next step in the curriculum? Do I go to another chapter? Do I stay on the same concept that I don't understand? And then what is the next best strategy for me? Is it to go step by step guided to achieve mastery? Or do I need to revise previous concepts? Or do I need more scaffolding experience? And that's the second role, to customize the learning path, the experience based on the learner profile. And here it's where we are also proud in HECOF, because we moved from the rule-based adaptation, to call it like that, towards more of a profile-based adaptation. It means it adapts based on the profile of the learner, based on the curriculum, what are the concepts, how they are organized, and also based on a model of the content. And then it recommends in real-time content. It also looks to help teacher identify and address learning gaps, to see where is my class, what are the concepts that my class doesn't know, where do I need to spend more time. We integrated the Adaptemy AI engine, but we also took the chance to push it towards the boundary in terms of integrating additional aspects, but also working a lot more on the learning experience and the configuration. What are the type of experience that we can build? So, and then we all probably heard about the GenAI or used it, and then we look and see, okay, what is the area where GenAI is very useful for education? So how can we use the technology to enhance the learning experience to help the students? So in there, where we took, let's say, two main aspects. One was the think, pair, share with AI. What it means, we follow the learning design guidelines and best practices, saying you don't only need to study, but you need to collaborate, to reflect on what you've done. And in there, one of the learning experience we built was a think, pair, share, where you have the AI that knows where you are struggling, where you are good, and enables to discuss different concepts that you don't understand. And in there, it's using the virtual tutor that it's trained on the course material. What it means, it's different than, let's say, going to ChatGPT and asking, what is bioreactors? Because it goes into the material from the course, from your lecturer, and then builds and explain what is in there. And then based on the evaluation from the first pilot, we got the feedback from the students saying, well, we don't only want multiple choice questions, we also want to go further in terms of more open answer. So, and then where we went was, how do we use the GenAI in the course material to first give the chance to the student to answer different exam type questions, especially because on one course they have more of an oral exam, where even though it's an MSc level, they need to go and discuss. So in there, what is to collaborate more with the AI and their insights in order to discuss, to open, even when they practice, they get smaller questions, they write their answer, and then the AI is telling them, how close you are to a very good answer, but it's also presenting what would look a nice and a very good answer. And then going further, I want just to spend some time to briefly discuss what is the learning design in HECOF. So I know we have an AI engine that is able to recommend, but what we want to take the best learnings and the best practice from a learning design point of view, and then put them in practice. So as part of the work package 3, we look at the learning design and say, okay, how do we want the engine to recommend content? How do we guide an AI engine so the learning experience includes different pedagogical aspects? So going back and looking to flow theory, chemistry is saying that you need to get content on the right difficulty. Going to the mastery learning, you need to master a concept before moving forward. So looking with the experts and the stakeholders, and many thanks to the universities for spending the time and helping in here. So we went to design several learning experience, including the guided mastery, the practice with the VR that you saw, the reinforcement, and the team pair share. So guided mastery goes and takes the students through a series of instructional and assessment. When they are struggling, it starts giving more remedial content and instructional, but it steps them, it builds their knowledge step by step. In terms of the practice of the VR, we wanted that also the experience in VR not to be the same for every single student. We have students that they just started and did their first VR experience, and we don't want to overwhelm them, or that maybe they're students that are doing really well and are coming again. So even in VR, we took the learner profile that we know about the students, and we recommend, and many thanks for supporting in this, we recommend what is the next part of the VR experience. The reinforcement learning loop goes more into the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. So it looks to model what learners knows and how much they are on the verge to forget. So it's estimating, looking based on your interactivity with the content, how much we think the engine thinks that you forgot, and then space the revision in a more efficient way. So we already know that you know what is a bioreactor. We are not serving the same questions or the same content, but looking more space. What is the next best question to revise? Because we are aware students don't have time. And I also want to send my thanks to the co-design session, to go like that, and the students, because part of the design of the reinforcement learning came exactly from what we presented to them. So what, especially to give one example, was they wanted to see a summary of the most forgotten concept at the end. So you revise, you have a session, what is the area where I most want to revise? So, and with that part, I will then just very briefly to go through the benefits that we saw through the pilot. So what we want is the students to experience personalization, to get all the time what is right and what they need. The second one, we wanted to have a more effective learning through memory reinforcement, and also to that adaptation of the difficulty of the content. So in terms, for example, if you are already at the master level, you are really good, you shouldn't be served questions that are very easy for you because you just lose your time practicing. You should focus where you need to practice at the right level. And that goes to the efficient learning that looks also to adjust not the path, but also the progression through the course. And then where we go is The benefit is that we look through the Gen AI, the technology, where we have the virtual tutor that is able to support and answer to your questions, and it's trained on the course material and goes further on in engaging in reflective learning with the AI, and moves a little bit more into how do we work with the AI, how do we collaboratively work and make the best use of our time. And in the next slide, but not that is important, it's that experience enhanced immersive learning. So one is when you are reading the experiment and what needs to be done, but it's completely different when you have an environment that allows you to practice, that allows you to be immersed into what's happening. So the next time when you're going into the laboratory, maybe it's you don't have time that much because your previous colleagues spent a little bit more on the experiment. You have not only the familiarity, but also the practice. And you can go even further on to do different experiments, try to see what's happening, and going further in modeling mathematically what happens whenever you change the switch. And then what we wanted is also to develop enhanced awareness through exposing to the dashboards, the visualization, and everything that we know about the students, but to be able to do a lot more. And in there also our colleagues from Simari helping to presenting on top of what we had in mind to see, because it's important for students to have also that awareness. Where am I struggling? Where I'm doing really great? So, and then increase their metacognition skills. So I promise I won't keep you long, so I will just do a small demo. So we have two courses. On what?
Check no.
Oh, no.
It was sharing.
I think I started.
Yes. No, the function of the screen.
So one thing that you might see in there, we as a consortium are a big fan of explainability and explaining to the students what the AIs know. So all those next recommendations are also explained to the teacher what they know. And in here I am in the NTA concept, course, where my demo user masters almost everything. So it's become quite a master or quite a experience, but still it's able to go to different type of learning experience what they want. It's either in terms of a mastery experience where they go step by step into what is the next place where they might need to update, or they might go into a think pair share or in a revision. And if I go to just to go to another course where my student didn't go that much through all the concepts, and that progress it's also explained to the different explanation that is going and recommending the next part. So in here, because I already did the learning, I will go now into a think pair share experience. So what it's gonna be doing in here, it's looking on the questions, for example, that I get it right or I connection okay. I got it wrong, and then it's presenting me with different explanations. So they identify parts that I got right, and it's starting to discuss a little, to present a little bit more, and then it's looking. So instead of presenting an worked example in general to each student, it's creating on the fly a worked example from the correct and the incorrect aspects through the questions that I interacted with them. And here are examples that they go into the share part where they got a question incorrect. And then they go into a state where they are free to ask different questions in order to understand. So we are here and we try to see, I don't know, all the time doing like demo. Why is important? So you can ask the AI tutor different type of questions, and then you will be able to see what was the answer. And the evaluation that you've seen there was also part of the pilots to support a lot more, to get feedback on the fly about the content. And then I can go and share different aspects that I learn through the session. And this we work through the HECOF platform then for the teacher to be able to see the shared. And also from the beginning, they were aware that the this one are also shared further on. So what I want is to go through another learning experience. Let's say I want to start learning different concepts where I still need to progress. So as you saw from the beginning, I'm at intermediate phase. So the challenge level is medium, the one that I am getting. So I'm not an expert of bioreactors, so I will probably get the questions, most of them wrong. But you can get the impression where you can see different type of questions being asked and provide feedback in the real time. Here, it just came an example of a question that is more of an open answer, that where the student needs to type in the answer. And I will try anyone. So it's going to say of course it wasn't sufficient answer, and trying to give more details. So I try to get this. Well, yes, it didn't address the question, my answer, for sure. And you saw I was struggling, and at some point it stopped asking me questions, saying it's time for you to get more remedial, more instructional, and this is what's happening in the path. It's starting to give me more instructional, and I also can, if I don't understand something, I can start asking the AI tutor, and I have all the history, what I discussed as questions for profiling and also for sharing. So if I don't understand something from what am I reading, I can ask and to the AI tutor to elaborate a little bit more. And then it goes and it's trying to assume I learned through the instructional and adapts the path as I'm going. I won't continue, but you'll see if I'm messing too much, we'll start asking how serious am I in this session, if I'm putting the right effort. So these are the type of things it will try to move me towards the path and all the time giving me the goal orientation that I need. So those, we found it through the discussion with the students that even for them in a small session, it's important to know how far they went and what is their goal all the time. What do I need to do? Master 10 concepts, you are 60% through this lesson, next way will come. And if we want to, let's say, expand and look for more assessment or history or more about what is the precision, how much I know and what's the status, we can see in the system. Thank you.
If there are no questions, are there any questions? No? Okay. So what we can do right now is to move forward with, as we mentioned, the experience from the pilot universities. We can start with the give me one second. With Polmi. We will start with Polmi, with Shuepei, with assistant professor from Politecnico di Milano. Can give you the microphone. You can come here, yes, if that's better for you. Of course. Let me just share. Give me just a second to also share.
One screen now.
Okay, cool.
Don't worry, I can just
okay.
stand. Just I can move. Okay, I can go like this. Okay. Thank you for being here. I'm here representing actually it's a big team from the Politecnico di Milano. I will go just through the very general introduction. Actually, the team of Politecnico di Milano were participating in this project. We're from 3 different entities. So first, I'm from the Department of Design, where we are basically working on a different approach, especially talking about related to the topic of HECOF, how to humanize the application of technology and how this approach of human-centered ways of looking at the application of technology can be supporting the application in terms of both AI and VR, XR technology. And then at the same time, for sure, we have the Department of Chemical Engineering from the Politecnico di Milano, where they are in charge of the topic of this course and the videos you have demo you have seen in the previous presentation. And with the professors and the other colleagues from that department, they are collaborating with all the partners, Neuro and Adaptimi, to really develop the content. So how the technology can support to develop the content to be more suitable or personalized and to be more effective for students to learn. And at the same time, we have also a very specific entity from the Politecnico di Milano. It's called METID. It's actually created several years ago. The motivation, the objective is trying to transform a digital learning experience inside the Politecnico di Milano. And actually, they are collaborating with different schools, both from design, from chemical engineering, from mechanical engineering. The objective is trying to find a new digital learning approach. And this is also related to what Joanna is talking about, how to combine a learning design approach to transform the potential of digital technology technology into the different subjects. So this is also the reason why we collaborate also inside the Polytechnic Milano and to collaborate with technical partners inside the HECOF project to better understand how this AI-driven adaptive learning combined with the XR, especially the VR experience into transform a learning experience which is laboratory based. So very quickly, I will skip this part like this. And both from a little bit of university background, we are not only participating in the piloting part where we're developing something very practical. Actually, we also start from a kind of a literature review from a more research-driven perspective, better understand a little bit in the education area how the technology we divide it into the AI technology and XR technology have already been impacting or changed or applied inside the specific subject. So not only about the literature part, we are also trying to collect some already, if I can see, implemented or somehow successful cases where we can see there's a contribution or a specific role that this technology has been played. And all these informations actually gave us some extra input when we are collaborating inside this co-design session with both the teaching staff, students, also our technical partner to better define, on one hand, what is really needed in terms of their learning subject. And on another hand, to understand the roles and advantages from the technology if they can provide a good matchmaking between what are needed from the students' side, but as well as also during the co-design session, understand also from the needs of the teaching staffs, how these needs can be correctly or proper answered from the technology part. So very generally, how we did the literature review, we use some very specific words to identify where are the currently contributions from the technology, but as well as which are the current risks, and maybe later we are talking about the ethical part, but also the current gap that have been discussed in the literature part. And actually, we identified some of the results that has been already discussed inside the literature and inside the scientific study, where definitely the XR has a very strong advantages to make things visualized and to somehow stimulate a context where students can somehow experience it in person. And this is actually what we are doing in the piloting experience, especially when we're talking about the chemical environment where it's somehow dangerous and you need to be well protected. And this kind of technology can really provide big advantages. And also, it's contributing to a learning scenario. So you are not only learning in terms of the books or reading or from pictures, but you are really learning from your personal physical experience. So this is another very important contribution. So we have already seen from the literature. And another very important aspect that actually we were kind of trying to push inside the chemical engineering area, where the team learning or collaboration is not one of the most important way to learn. So in the other areas, such as design, we do a lot of project-based learning or collaboration that students are working in teams and everyone is contributing to a specific aspect or topic of the project. And actually, the XR has a lot of advantages to facilitating or fostering this kind of collaboration. So we were thinking this application of the technology in somehow can also push this kind of a collaboration inside also chemical engineering teaching area. So these some case studies that we identified, somehow they are also confirm or make it more practically how are the findings we identified in the literature part. Actually, we also in the university, apart from the tasks that we need to carry out in the HECOF, we organized different types of, let's say, focus group with students, co-creations about their learning needs about the students to better also understand which are the learning needs and which can be transferred inside the HECOF project and also in the prototyping part. And these are the activities we have done. So at the beginning, the end of 2023, and together with also partners, we're trying to find the students from a specific course, and then we start to really co-create the whole process together, both with the students but as well as the teaching staff. As I mentioned before, inside a learning context, there are not only needs from the learner perspective, but there's also needs that the teachers, educators, they also need to better understand how to transfer the knowledge and how to collaborate with this technology. So this co-data workshop actually we did in the Politecnico di Milano in the Department of Chemical Engineering, and we trying to follow a kind of agile approach and a co-creation approach to put the different actors together, where there's experts from technology, where there are the target about this learning experience, so both the students and the teachers to talk about together, which are the needs that they have perceived during their learning, traditional learning approach, and understand also their understanding level about the technology, about the AI technology, about the VR, AR technology, and make us better understand how this solution should be applied, especially in that context, and especially for those learners. So these are some of the activities we have done. So we have really the introduction and the small warming up session, and we had a really close discussion with students and the teaching staff. And they also, thanks to Nuro, we have also the experience to make students and teachers start to experience a little bit of technology. So this is really the warming up part. And then we move, we had a lot of preparation and also a lot of online learnings, especially trying to apply what Nuro and what Adaptimi have showed to you into a specific course. I will talk later. And at the end of 2024, we had the first running about pilot to start to test if we have created or understand the needs from the student, from the teacher, if we are implemented in a correct way, which are the first feedback we can really collect from this piloting. And then now we're at the almost the last version about this final test. At the end of the beginning of next month, beginning of June, we're going to make the final test, final pilot at the Politecnico di Milano to better understand if the way that we modified all this learning processing experience really be perceived in a correct way to the students, and which might be also the future steps that we can follow. I talk then a little bit to give you the context, maybe then you understand how the two pilots are different also from the content perspective. As I promised, I'm not from the chemical engineering area, so I give you a brief introduction in terms of what we learned also during the process. Actually, this is a master level course, so it's a master level science degree in the chemical engineering. And it's basically talking about the production process and the formulation process of the drug. And since there are a lot of topics or subtopics under this very general big topic about biotechnology and clinical manufacturing, actually we are trying to focus is that how we can guide the student, or how this course that can get the students to design and to optimize the polymer-based drug carrier. So how to make them understand how this process can be well designed and can arrive to the destination, the objective that they planned. And this is exactly on one hand, how we can make the process and the learning process adapt to the learner's needs. So one is different from another. And at the same time, how the VR context can make them understand in person that kind of experience, even though it's a world quite far away from our traditional life. So basically, inside this course, they divided it into 3 modular, and this is thanks to the collaboration inside the HECOF team. We're trying to redesign also the curriculum inside this course. So introduction part, then there's a part explaining about the chemistry and engineering of polymer, and at this, the last part, the important part, is how to feel and really finish in this operation, this design process, to make sure that the process is success. And there's a specific focus, as some of the demos have showed you, about the bioreactor and how to better understand how does it work, and include the design of the cell's culture, the control, and the critical parameters, and how the implications about the whole process. This is the some activities we done during, I think, the first pilot, maybe, to first testing if the contacts from the course are well connected with both the VR experience as well as the adaptive learning process. So here we basically had around 14, 15 students that participated together with 1 main educators and also some teaching assistants to test in a virtual lab test. And as I showed you before, in Polytechnic Milano, we have a specific classroom that are connected with the VR technology. And again, thanks also to our technical partner, we really restructured the context, the physical space, to better make students better experience this VR experience. And this is basically the introduction session, the trying session, and how they can see some also the reactions from the computer. And there are some actually, let's say the whole process is quite collaborative. And basically the process is first, we talk directly inside this collaboration team. So before we show it to the students, we make some internal also review from both the experts of learning design inside the consortium, and then better also involve the teachers before testing directly with the students. So even though you see the results, it's not that, let's say, difficult to use, but there's a long process of preparation about both the content, but also how the way you're acting and reacting inside this context. And there's we also prepared 2 surveys for both the pilot, so before and after, in order to better understand how this experience are really responding to the needs we identified, and if some of the specific functions actually worked, or how much it worked during the piloting activities. And maybe some feedbacks that students are very happy and they are really passionate about better understanding how this technology, especially the combine between AI and VR experience. But at the same time, and the whole process is very smooth and stable from the technology perspective. But this also suggests some of the feedbacks. For example, maybe they need some clear feedbacks when the bioreactor are cooperating, and here they are talking about very specific details. And maybe there's some error stimulation can help them to learn better, especially from both from the let's say VR perspective, but maybe also the learning process. I will not go in details, but maybe also increase the variety into the different question types, as Joanna already mentioned. So we have also improved all these feedbacks from the first piloting, and now we are going to test it in the second piloting. Yeah, I think here is also some reflections. For example, there's a very positive feedback from the students, and they they talk about very good about the chatbot. The chatbot is effective and really supporting them at the different moment they need, and it gets a very outstanding outcome when we're testing with the students. So the second pilot, as I was saying, we're going to make it at the beginning of June, and we have already had all the meetings we discussed with the partners inside the consortium, and we have fixed the date, and we are really looking forward to see the results also after the second pilot. And yeah, there are some also disseminations that's from also the research perspective. We contributed to several different conferences, and we hope that this kind of result can also be expressed inside and outside the scientific communities. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are now moving forward to the next experience, which is from the NTUA, from Maria Karoglu.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank KT for the coordination of the meeting, and of course all the partners of the project for the very good collaboration we had all this time. And of course all of you that you came here. So I want to ask, how many of you have used virtual reality or AI tools in your education? I think that both of you are students. Only you? No. You all? AI? AI is for sure, but VR? No. No. The same thing with our students. This was the first difficulty. They didn't have a previous experience. So we're ready to start. So I come from National Technical University of Athens. It's one of the most prestigious schools in engineering. And especially the engineering studies in Greece, the duration is 5 years. So in our schools, we have 4 different departments. The case study was in the second department concerning the process analysis and plant design, and specifically the laboratory of process analysis and design, which is one of the oldest laboratories in our school. Oh, very. Okay. So the main research and technical capabilities of our laboratory is the process development and optimization, product development, and environmental assessment. And we have participated in many European and national projects, but this kind of project, it was for us also the first time to use VR in education and AI. So this is the team. There was one professor, 3 of us that we are teachers in the laboratory, and 2 postdoc students. So we selected as a process the extraction. The main objective of this process is to recover phenolic compounds from olive leaves, which often olive leaves for the case study. We'll go through in the traditional educational system in Greece, I think everywhere. So this laboratory is under the umbrella of the unit operation class 1 and 2, which is like one of the basic lessons in the chemical engineering curriculum. So as you can see, the traditional way of teaching is in amphitheater. So we have around 200 students for the theory, while for the laboratory exercise, we have smaller groups of people. So they're taking some exercises during the whole year. This lesson is taught during the 3rd year of study. And how the assessment. So the assessment in the final degree, of course, we have like exams, written exams. We do some exercises in the PC lab, and also we have like exams in the laboratory. Why we have chosen extraction? It's a very common process. You use it every day in your daily life, like the preparation of filtered coffee. It's an extraction process. But instead of coffee beans, we've chosen olive leaves. Also very important, the olive leaves and the olive trees in Greece, you can imagine. So also it's very important because we can actually recover bioactive ingredients from the olive leaves. And as an extraction method, we have chosen a very modern one, the combination of both microwave and ultrasound assisted extraction. Next. This is the whole way of thinking of developing the case study. So we have like the raw material, the olive leaves, then breeding the materials. This is the equipment. And then we do some more analysis afterwards with the extracts we get. We actually started to look for when this kind of mathematical modeling of AI or VR started to be applied in chemical engineering. So we realized that it was in the late 90s, and we had like the first application of VR in 1996. Quite a surprise for us. So this was like, we tried to have like subcategories for the extraction process. So this was like with adapting it with Joanna. We had a lot of discussion which categories we actually have into this kind of process. And we actually have this kind of subcategories, which then they were developed inside the platform, the AI adaptive platform. For each category, we had the obligation to give the adaptomy specific content for its factor, as well as equations for the assessment of the content at 3 different levels, at easy, medium, and hard. So then, as Joanna explained before, the students undergone the whole system. And in the end, we got analytics, how the experience looked like. So we got a very high degree. And the thing is that the students believe that they can also, the use of this platform can support their learning experience a lot. Concerning the VR, you saw it before. We have also a lot of discussion, and I would like to thank my colleagues from Neuro here because we didn't know anything. I felt like a dinosaur concerning the VR. So we had like go from I don't know where we are now, but we didn't know anything. So we had a lot of discussion. They came to Athens. We discussed about the process. We took pictures. We took videos. And then we decided to start from a guided experiment, as you saw. So we gave them the basic parameters and the values of the parameters in order to have an optimum experiment. And the first testing of the system went back through in December 2024. And I was really surprised how easily the students get through it. It was amazing. They never used before the VR, and they didn't know about the experiment anything. But they got inside and do it very quickly. As you had 2 possibilities to use it from a keyboard or to have like with the headset. Of course, they enjoyed much more the use of the headset. And in all the categories in the analytics, we saw that the students were very satisfied with the use of the VR in this case. So what is the next step? Is the student to go inside the virtual environment and to conduct now a free experiment. This means that now the student has to choose the right parameters. So we actually have like mathematical modeling at the back in order to give the student the final performance degree based on kinetics. So the previous week we started the second evaluation. This is the group of students in Athens. Now they are actually working on the platform, and we hope to have the new VR test next week. Until now, we have submitted 2 publications in scientific journals, which are under review, and we will actually present the final deliverable in end of June in a conference hosted by the National Technical University of Athens, which we hope to disseminate also the results of the project. What are the next steps for us, the ideas? Of course, to broaden the use of AI and VR across more classes in schools in Greece, and specifically for our school, and to integrate them into the current curriculum. Of course, we need to scale the infrastructure, we need more devices, and also upgrade networks. And this is very important for engineering, to have real experiences from real industrial problems. And to force all the AI for personalized learning, classifying, and feedback. That's all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Maria. Now, the next presentation is regarding the AI education, the ethical and legal legislation. Ioanna will present.
I will discuss a little bit more about what are the ethics, what are the legal consideration we need to look, and also talk through the project perspective, what were the practical aspects we look into. So if we, what I will cover was through, after a short introduction, what is AI in education? We might call it like a buzzword, what it is, what are the, let's say, different pillars. And then looking what are the ethical and also the legal consideration, and then discuss through the HECOF project itself, where are different aspects. If we look what is the AI in education, we see a rise of it, and we don't see it only, let's say we have more edtech companies that are delivering that, but we see also at the level of government, in Minister of Education, but also in terms of the EC department or Council of Europe, where they start first investigating, classifying, and also giving recommendation what it is. So in there, where it starts with adaptive learning platform that adapts the learning experience of the student. It is traced back to years, 20, 30 years of intelligent tutoring systems that started in a research lab initially, but now we see them more rising into schools, into universities. It goes then the second on the predictive analytics for student performance. So that part of using AI to model, to estimate all the time what is their ability, what they know, where they start to forget different aspects. Then with the Gen AI rise, we also see it being used in terms of the chatbots, in terms of the virtual tutor. So using the technology for education and in education purposes. And I put it on the very last, just the automated grading. It started initially as we want automatic grading through the AI, but where the sophistication, where it evolved, is different still. If we look what are, let's say, the key AI tools that we have the recommendations. We have the notifications. What we need to start next. Why? Because through different notification, we get actually it helping us to orchestrate our learning. So it's time for revision. It's time for more learning. Then we have the chatbots for student support, the learning analytics dashboards, and also the content generation application. So content generation started to come as a new tool where it is a lot of effort, and we, as Maria said, we thank so much for the effort put it in to make it possible. So with the new generation, we are looking more to see how can we make it more streamlined, how can we help to have it more in the classroom. So when we look to AI in education, there are different stakeholders that are affected. First, you might say are the students, because it's the students who will experience learning. It's also the educators, because the role of an educator started to change in the area of AI. They don't, let's say, only deliver or correct. The goal and the hope is that they will be able to spend their time more on what is important, into transmitting that hunger for knowledge, for innovation later on, spending time where it's needed, and allowing the technology to help where it can do the best, but also in terms of administrators or parents, because it's affecting the way they work. So there are different ethical considerations to look. First one is the student rights and autonomy. We are strong believer that we shouldn't force students to use the AI, but to give room for their agency, for their autonomy. So if at some point I want to override the AI with a new context, I want to study that chapter today, I want to move into a new part, we need to give room to AI to adapt and take into consideration that autonomy, that agency. Then looking in terms of algorithmic bias. So why is it important? It's important because we collect data, then we use the AI to, let's say, learn and make new recommendations. What is the structure of the curriculum? What are the prerequisites? What is an easy question? What is a difficult question? So in there, what we want all the groups to be representative. We don't want, let's say, to feed only learning data for high-performing students, and then it's only that population that is in there. And it's also a challenge because we tend to don't want to know personal information about the students. We tend not to want to know what is the gender, what is that group. So at some point you become, you need to look into the data that you have. And for us, it's more the ability of the student. So looking on all the groups, either that you are struggling or you are developing or you are really good, to make sure when we learn insights, we are able to learn across all the groups of the students. So collaboratively together to be able to say something about a content, a curriculum, or a learning path, but then also to be able to dig inside different groups of students to see who are the most affected, or for what group of students it's really working the technology. And then we need to look at the responsible innovation and also to make sure we are ready for the AI Act. So in there, if we look in the EU, what are the ethical approaches? First one is to promote students' well-being, to avoid harm, to respect their agency, and ensure fairness and equity. So it's important to think that even though the students will use the AI, they have the autonomy. All the time you need to have an in-place system that will audit the AI system. So to give an example, you don't want just a system that does recommendation or views a learner profile. You want to know what is the performance of the models itself, what is the accuracy, what is the AUC of the system when giving recommendation. Then you want to look, is it harmful, is it helping? And you start looking into other KPI, like what is the learning gain for students within that session, within this course. What are they learning session by session? Why? Because the analytics are in the background. So they are collecting data, they are there. It's more about making sure we don't leave it in a data lake, but we bring forward from the data lake in front of the product owner, in front of the lecturers, in front of the administrator, and so on. And I talked a little bit about the bias in algorithms. So why? Because it's important when we build AI, we build it for the next stages. And we don't want just to make sure we build something for the sake of building it, but we need to build something to improve education, to improve the process, and all bringing those layers where we check for different aspects on bias will help to have, let's say, a better use of the outputs in the end, being it a new model, be it a new recommender system, and so on. Another big part is transparency and explainability. Serving a black box to students, to teacher is not sufficient and is not recommended from our point of view. Why? Because it's important to start to understand why something was recommended for me, to be able to communicate to AI, and then to build trust to transparency. So even in my demo, you saw different aspects where it mentioned why. So at each step, we try to record what is the cause or the main driver something was recommended, and building an explainability model. That explainability model is that presented to the students through a kind of a chatbot voice. But what we want at each step to explain to the student why we took that decision, to recommend you again a concept, because you just failed, but you are still progressing, you need a little bit more practice. And it's important to have autonomy and human oversight. So what the role of the education and the role of the educator in AI-based environment starting to change. What is important is to keep human in the loop. So what it means at each step, try to have, that's also the recommendation, the human in the loop. For example, you generate content, you have an AI evaluator, LLM judge that will evaluate what is good or what's the truth of the content. But then have the opportunity to give the SME subject matter expert the opportunity to either help with training data or to give feedback where it's good. Give the human in the loop also to lecturer and teachers. Even though I want to move to a new chapter as a teacher and my students maybe are halfway through, I should be able to take along and introduce new aspects, but also recommend revision for whoever is struggling. And human in the loop, it's the student in the loop in the learning experience that knows what's recommended for me, why, what the system knows about me. So we tend to open the learner profile, and that's why we quite throw a lot of data. So our colleagues from CIMAVI will know we have a huge learner profile with everything we know, because we want them to show and be transparent what we learned. So there are also different, let's say, legal consideration, from the basic GDPR compliance to the EU AI classification, but also into understanding what is a high-risk system and also what are the obligations. So in EU, as you know, for example, the use of recognizing emotions brings you to more surveillance, let's call it like that, into the student's emotion, brings you towards a higher risk system, and it's in there. I won't go to the AI Act. I just want to make sure to think about it. And then in terms of the IP, who owns the IP once you generated the content? Well, it depends what model you use, but then most of the models, you'll see that the IP belongs to the person who generated, or the institution, or who generated. So what it means is, if universities are starting to put their own materials to train a system, they own that copyright. And also pay attention when you try to train an AI agent, what is if you have the copyright on the material. So for universities, it's quite easy. They have previous lecture notes, they have previous materials. Then whatever it's then, it belongs to the university. And in practice, what happened is to have regular audits of the AI system, have different metrics to monitor all the time, to flag when something is not working right. Why? For the simple fact that once you know something is not working very well, it's a step forward for improving it. And also to document all the data processing activities, and don't forget any training for the staff, being it in universities or in companies. In terms of the HECOF project, where we look in terms of ethics, so we went to the full path for making sure we are GDPR compliant, to making sure we don't, let's say, break different types of trust with the student. We look in terms of the bias in the training of the algorithms. But where we think it's also important is where we fight for the explainability and being open. We learn something about the students, we make a recommendation. If there is to bring that transparency and help students take the decision that is best for them. So with that in mind, if you don't have any questions, or if you have, I'm very happy to take them. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Joanna. And we're now moving to the final session of our conference today, which is going to be a small introduction of some of the sister projects, but at the same time also initiatives that are quite similar to what we want to achieve. The first one is from Carmen Mina, she's a European project manager from Finova. This one?
Yeah, this one.
Perfect.
Yeah, this one. So first of all, thank you so much for the fact that we can host this amazing project. It's been really interesting. And I'm Carmen, I'm part of the team of Finova as project manager here in Brussels. And today I want to explain one way to extend one project who is about to end. And especially I will talk about Erasmus Plus program, and within Erasmus Plus program, we have one goal, which name is capacity, the next one is capacity building and vocational and training. So the purpose of this call mainly is to support international cooperation and especially support the vocational training outside of Europe. So next one, please. So basically, it's about to working together, combining not only what other country outside of Europe needs, also what Europe want to support. Better thinking, better training, better skills, also more digital tools. So the main one, I think that is not the one that I share. It's that one because I have another one more because it's no, this is too long. No, it's not that one because I don't want to be very long. Is that one? This one. Okay. So anyway, no, it's not this one. Anyway, but again, I want to put here. Okay, that one. Yeah, this is enough because I don't want to be very long. The floor is for this project kickoff. So anyway, the main goals that now Europe has in the Erasmus Plus program is not. There is no any surprise that it's the Green Deal, digital transformation, integration, sustainable, something that everyone we are supporting in, especially for example in this project. And how, as I said before, the goal that I'm talking about is about how we can work together the country that they are not in the Erasmus Plus program, like Africa, Latin America, and also India, West Asia. So any other project, any other country there which is not inside of the Erasmus Plus program with the countries that we are into the program. So it's a very nice. Sorry, because it's not. Yeah, that one. Yeah. So it's a good opportunity to work together in that way. And about grants, we have two kind of strands. It's called. We have another one, but it's more about Ukraine and work that we are doing in Ukraine. So it's very difficult to get. But depends on what do you want to do. What is your goal? We have two kind of project: the large scale or small scale. The first one is with less budget, is within 200,000 and 400,000, and the duration of the project is short, is about maximum 2 years. And the second one, the large one, is within 400,000 and 800,000 euros, and the duration of the project is more, it's for 48 months. And okay, and also, sorry, because it's not, yeah. I want to talk about the eligibility because it's mandatory to have 4 organizations in this call, and within these 4 organizations, it's mandatory to have at least 2 European organization and one non-European organization. I mean, for example, one organization for Africa. My recommendation is to have a balance between Africa or Latin America, imagine, and Europe. So if you have 2 organizations from Greece and from Poland, for example, you must have at least 2 organizations from Africa or Latin America. And the budget is very flexible in the way that we can have the 10% of subcontracting, and also it's possible to have other grants like transport, logistic, and it's something very important in this kind of project because the logistic and the transport is the key of the chain, the ideas within the countries from Africa or Latin America and Europe. And also, okay, yeah, because sorry. No. Okay. And also, I want to talk about 2 kind of projects that Finova took part in the past or nowadays. One of them, I think that sound familiar for some of you, and it's Levi also. So I don't want to talk a lot about Levi because it's for ethic into artificial intelligence, and it's something that we are just talking about. But the project was also in this one. The project was a small scale cooperation partnership and was focused in challenge of technology data and in particular the ethics in the education. So the goal of the project, this one please. So the goal of the project mainly was increase the institutional commitment, create open education resources, and also the ethical use in data in the education. So, but the last one that I want to talk about is 5D. one of the projects that we are working right now in Finova. Is a project who try to get people ready for the future, for the 5D technologies, and also is more about innovation, is more about make institution also make trainings and entrepreneurs work together in order to get ready for the future. And the mainly goal of this project is to have I change ideas within the entrepreneurs and the education providers. So it's one of the projects that we are working on. I think that is really interesting to talk about and to exchange ideas with this project that we are on. And I think, okay, this is the objective of the project how I was talking about. It's about digital skills, green skill, resilient skills, and also about how to make the world more green and sustainable. So that was all. Yes, it's the to start out because the presentation was not this one, but anyway. So, but the thing that I want to share is there is a way to increase this kind of project that we are working, HECOF. For example, not only in higher education, which university also is important to put the focus in the non-tertiary education, not only higher education, in BED, vocational training, because I think that is one of the most important professions that we have nowadays.
Thank you very much. Moving forward, I just want to double check if we have Angelica Marsico with us online.
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Unfortunately, for some reason, the audio is from the laptop and not the. Angelica, will you be sharing your presentation, or do you want me to do it?
If you may share, please. Thank you. I don't know.
I can share.
Yes. Can you hear me well?
Give me 1 second, sorry.
Yes.
Just 1 minute. Angelica, can you try again?
Yes, can you hear me?
Once more.
Hello. Hi.
Sorry, the sound is coming from the laptop and not the speakers.
1 second.
No, it's not from you, don't worry.
Yes.
Can you try once more? Sorry.
Hello.
Perfect. So
Okay.
let me just.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just share the screen really quickly with your presentation. Okay, you can go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So you can go on the next slide. Thank you, first of all, for being here and present our project that it's part of Beyond XR sister cluster. So I will short introduce to you XR to Learn project, that it's a European funded project that lasts 42 months, and it's trying to leveraging and empower the XR technology into the educational field. So our aim is trying to create a cross-border and pan-European movement that it's human-centric, with a human-centric approach that will help to empower what is XR technology and learning possibility. Here a short presentation of our cluster that it's composed by university, companies that are helping us to develop solution, and also associations that are helping to share the word. The project is based on actually on two open calls that allows to have innovators on our project. So each open call allow 7 on the first call and 10 on the second call, short consortium to present an innovative solution that will improve XR to Learn on education. This is possible thanks to the creation of a unified digital platform that allows the creation of contents to create class or to create content and class. So we are trying to empower this possibility also to the one that are not developers or to those that are approaching this solution, thanks to a unified platform in which you can find a catalog, a marketplace, a forum, and a wiki. These are tools that support developers, teacher, also training and trainees that approach several projects and several sectors. The target of the project is based educators and training, XR developers and user in the manufacturing sector, and not only, and also entry-level user and trainees. So we are trying effectively to foster the use and the creation of the XR solution on education. Our part in your final General Assembly is actually trying to foster a synergy, a collaboration, because we think that the forum and the community is part of the path that we want to continue. So if you want to proceed with the next slide. We have actually here a forum in which we gather educators, in which we gather developers, in which we gather also trainees. And this is a possibility to share content, to create, how we can say, like a platform in which sister project or technical knowledge or people can be part of it. So can be a focal point to contact innovator, contact projects that has knowledge, we can say also in legal aspect or training aspect. And I suppose that can be a plus for the sustainability of all the projects that are in our journey. So I will ask you if you can register, also scan the QR code and register to the community. This is a great opportunity to present other projects, present the status of the project, connect if we have use cases, if we have innovators that will effectively be part of this this pathway for the future, not only for the time being. So I suppose that there's the other slide, the last one. Okay, no, it's only the thank you. So main focal point of the community will be also share use cases, training, also problems and challenges that can be addressed to the innovator of the sector. So if we can continue, if we want to contribute to be part of this cluster, will be one. No, this is for another. No, I think that. Okay, so this is last part from me. So I will share with you the QR code of the forum and looking forward to sustain our cluster and projects.
Great.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you very much for your time. Moving forward, we have Dr. Erwin Delay, Research Director from Support Square. Help me a little bit to exert to. I have closed it. You can open it. Here you go.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. I will make a similar plea as Excel to Learn. I'm here to present a project, and especially to look for collaborations, joint work, and needs of homework. Now, XR Industry has a slightly different starting point. We're looking at building the future of XR for European industry. So not really targeting education, but industry is close to that, it was mentioned, and from previous projects we've done in Belgium as support where we built VR solutions and content for vet schools. We saw that this is an ideal place for this collaboration between education providers and industry. So there's a definite crossover. Now, the core objective of XR Industry is to strengthen Europe's position in the XR landscape. As you all know, and you saw the demo, popular devices, for instance, are not European devices, or American or Chinese, with all the consequences it might have on privacy, on data concerns, on privacy concerns, on having sustainable solutions that map to European values and goals. And so the core objective of industry, industry is to strengthen your position, combining a hardware offering. So we have a headset builder in our consortium, which is Lynx, which is a French company. And then combining that with software solution that enrich this hardware platform. Key challenges addressed is lack of sovereign European-built XR technologies, which I discussed. There's a need for ethical, human-centric, and exclusive XR systems, which are also handled by joint projects we already saw earlier today. We also look especially at interoperability and regulatory compliance, which is in several industrial sectors an important factor. But interoperability is a European value that we really want to push for, and I think also the other presentations we saw tackle this or handle this. The hardware and the software want to ensure secure and privacy respecting XR ecosystem. And this is one of the core values of Lynx, that the hardware is designed privacy first. And so it's a combination of work we do in the consortium with open calls. So in the consortium, you see Lynx at the left side. They will develop a new version of the headset, which is comparable in functionalities as what you are expecting to see. It has VR and mixed reality support in one device, which you can also have now into Quest 3, which you saw in the new Pico devices that are also popular. Lynx also has this. In fact, they were one of the first with their first version to push for this hybrid device, but they didn't yet break through on the global market. Then second box, there's supportware, my company, Alteria, another company in Brussels, supportware from Ghent, also a Belgian company. So together we will be building the core platform that I will explain a bit later what it contains. And then there's TCorp, which is a French company, which is about device management. Deploying your 3D assets, your apps on the headsets at scale. Because I think when I saw the pilots that you mentioned, you're looking at 10, 15 students. But when you go for real educational use of XR technology, you're in higher education, with hundreds of students, even in secondary schools, large classrooms, and how do teachers and professors manage this technology in a group. So together with TCorp, we are providing solutions for that. How do we reapply the technology at scale in an educational manner? I'm not an education expert, but how do we manage the device fleet? How do we manage your tasks? How do we make sure that all the students are doing what they should be doing and not playing games on the headsets or get lost? Then at the final box, there's Flux 50, which is a sector organization for the energy sector in Belgium. And so they represent a group of end users and use case that we will work out on the platform. And then on top you see Lab Lenny, which is a Valencia University research team, comparable, I think, to the role that Milan and Athens were playing here in your project. They are in fact the coordinator of the project as well, silently the research partner. And then we have a legal company to check all our compliance with the GDPR. And there are 3 open calls. The first one is ongoing. That's about hardware modules that can be plugged in on top of the headset. In all kinds of directions, we will have specialized cameras, GPS modules, 5G connectivity. And there are 7 winners that are starting up in these projects. The second open call is about additional software features that are really core for XR. Things like eye tracking and other stuff that will be developed in a modular fashion. And then the third open call, which I think might be relevant for the university, for instance, will be targeting end users, industrial end users, in combination with a research institution to pilot what we deliver together with these 2 other open calls. So here you have some info. I'm not going to go over them. That's a slide later. Links has developed dev kits, we call it. So these will be handed out to the project partners and the submission, the winners of the open calls to develop their solution on top of it. And then next to that, that's the final slide. There's a software platform, very schematic. What is important is that the XR device is a core element in the project. It's a European hardware for the first time that might become successful, but of course it has to be embedded in an industrial environment. So we have identified a couple of core functionalities of how do you use XR in training, but also in on-the-job support, which is not in scope of what we saw earlier today, which is important in industrial tasks. And then we have different functional blocks, and some of them need to be integratable, interoperable with industrial context. And identity management, I think, everybody will be aware of the core element of that. But then also just the fact that you can link XR activities to your professional tasks via activity management, that you are aware of your context of the person performing the task, but also of your environment. And then we have the device management of large fleets of devices, but also content management. And I think that's the topic where we really want to open up to all your projects. We're trying to set up an architecture for what we call a federated content repository based on the data space architecture, which is also a European initiative, and where all the projects and the content owners could plug in a free manner, and you end up with a kind of federated marketplace that does not belong to one monopolistic player, but where everybody can publish content, can document what are the conditions of use, and where you can find it, get a contract to use it. And we want to use this part of the project really as the hook to collaborate with all the other projects. So everybody is developing content, potentially duplicating existing content, but for sure investing lots of effort in it. And it's very difficult at the moment to find existing content because it's really spread out in many different places. That's where we're at.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. Then we move forward to Michael Barngrover. Michael, can you hear us?
Hello. Yes,
Hello.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course. Will you be
yeah.
presenting or should I start your presentation?
If you could, that would be great. Thank you.
Just give me 1 second, sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
Excellent. Yes. All right. Thank you very much. So I'm going to very concisely, conscious of time, present two different projects. The first one that XR for Europe is involved in is Openverse. Openverse is a coordination and support action that is about 18 months into its 3-year program. We can go ahead and do the next slide, please. So Openverse is really aiming to support the adoption and development of the XR ecosystem in Europe, particularly highlighting user co-creation in platforms, integrating human-centered design and kind of best practices ethically and with regard to standards. So we, of course, have a lot of different partners that you see here, but the main objective is to support the Virtual World Strategic Initiative, which is also now represented by the Virtual Worlds Partnership, which is being formed. So Openverse is explicitly pivoted to support this new strategic initiative and the partnership as it's a coordination support action. So can we go to the next slide, please? On the next slide, we see here the outputs. So the outputs of this project are very much centered around providing resources for developers and deployers to access best practice and to find practitioners who use open standards and use the best in co-creative design practices. So that includes an observatory. So the Interactive Openverse Observatory is a platform that's open to the public that kind of maps projects and policies and stakeholders and again, as I said, practitioners, technology and content providers and creators. It's also creating a handbook on the co-creation methods in shared virtual worlds. We can go to the next slide. So the next project is XR for Human. This is also a coordination and support action with the mission to support the Virtual World Strategic Initiative and the partnership. But XR for Human is older. We are a few months away from actually completing this project. We'll have our final event in September. We can go to the next slide. So XR for Human's objective is explicitly about ethics. So while Openverse included ethics among open standards and co-creative practices and methodologies, XR for Human is explicitly focused on ethics and as well interoperability. So it has these 4 objectives that you see listed here, and of course it has as well many partners around Europe. So we can go to the next slide to focus on the deliverables. The key deliverables of this project are a code of conduct for responsible XR design, development, and deployment. And that's actually currently open for stakeholder feedback. So everyone who's involved in other projects presented today or involved attending here in the room or online, if you go to xrforhuman.eu, the code of conduct is available there to be reviewed. And you can directly edit and share your feedback and comment on the current draft of this code of conduct in the forum directly or in the XR for Human forum, which is also one of the outputs of this. In addition to this code of conduct, we have an interoperability guide that's going to be coming out of this project that's going to help developers basically understand the various decisions and issues and considerations when choosing how to approach interoperability, which is not just a standards question. We also have a public rating system and an educational toolbox. This is going to take the form of a ratings repository, which is very similar to the Openverse Observatory. It's a public platform for information about many different things. And maybe most useful for this audience is actually the Experience Library. So the Experience Library is a showcase of best practice non-commercial XR projects. So specifically EU-funded projects who create pilot studies. The Experience Library is intended to be a showcase of that, to demonstrate the best practice and design that goes into those projects. Particularly when you apply to the Experience Library with your project, you have to complete an ethical self-assessment. It's very much kind of a self-reflective document. It does not specifically determine whether you will have your project in the Experience Library, but it's an opportunity to reflect on the ethical choices and considerations you you went through or didn't go through when developing your project. So particularly the pilots that came out of the project today that were presented earlier would be great examples in the experience library. And that's it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're almost done. We're moving forward to Panagiotis Karagiannis, a project coordinator from the Laboratory for Manufacturing System Automation.
Great. Hello also from my side. Can you hear me? Can you see the slide?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So, hello everyone. Thank you first of all for the invitation. I'm Panagiotis Karagiannis. I'm a project manager in the Laboratory for Manufacturing System Automation, LMS for short, in University of Patras in Greece. And today I will speak to you about our project master and the open call that we are having running right now. So very quickly, a few words about the project. Master project is about boosting the XR ecosystem by providing an open XR platform that will contain technologies under three main pillars that I will describe. And the idea is to deliver rich training content on industrial robotics using the platform and this OpenXR and these technologies. How we achieve this? On the one side, we are having our own developments and as a consortium, but also we are launching two open calls to integrate a contribution from third parties. So this is in this schematic, you can see the approach of our project. So as I mentioned, one of our first and main pillars is the platform. We are developing technologies under three main pillars. Pillar number 2 is about safety in robotics. Pillar number 3 is about robot programming, about industrial robotics again, I repeat. And pillar number 4 is about having intuitive human-robot interaction mechanisms. And basically, let's say we're focusing a lot in eye-gazing technologies here. So as you can see on the figure at the bottom, at the top of the screen, we are having the first open call experiments to which we provided technical challenges. And right now, as we are speaking, 17 applications are running and they are developing their own technologies to provide to the OpenXR platform. And we have already launched the second open call. And we are expecting from educational institutes to submit their applications at the moment that we are speaking until the 12th of June. Using this platform and those technologies in order to create their own educational material about robotics in industrial settings and validate those educational scenarios inside their own classrooms using their own students in order to help us validate and prove the impact of this platform. So this is more or less the main idea of the project. Again, in the second open call, we have several challenges similar to the first one. And we have identified, again, three pillars. The first one is industrial applications. And you can see here the educational challenges. I don't want to get into much detail. Of course, you can read by yourselves the slide. But the main idea is here to provide educational material that will cover several applications from the manufacturing, like tending applications or line following robotic applications, quality inspection, and collaborative robots applications. So the idea here is for the educational institutes to provide applications to train their students based on these concepts. The second one is called Get to Know the Robots. So we'll go into a bit more detail, focusing on the robot itself. The challenges aim to help the students understand the robot reference systems or to have an impact to the general public by focusing on human-robot collaborative aspects in the sixth challenge. The next challenge is about having simulation activities for maintenance procedures. And the last one is about training in safety, on safety protocols and safety technologies in human-robot collaborative applications. And the last one, we want to be very flexible and open. And for this reason, we have introduced an open challenge. And we're aiming for innovative robotics, which is the main topic of our project. So educational challenge number 9 is about AI, using AI on training of industrial robotics. The next one is about having remote applications or having inclusive robotic education for people with special needs. The next one is having multimodal interaction applications. And the last one, since we are talking about XR, and this is a very important element that the XR inherently has, is the gamification aspect. So we are expecting to have some gamification characteristics in the educational materials that will be created. Now, regarding the beneficiaries that we are looking, as I mentioned before, we are aiming for university or research or educational organizations. They should be non-profit, and their main business, let's say, should be to create educational material, educational content, to have this kind of services, and have their own classrooms with students, let's say, so that they can guarantee that they will have the people that will validate and run those educational scenarios that will contain the master technologies. Of course, SMEs can be part of the consortium, and of course, large companies, large for-profit companies can be part of the consortium, but we expect no budget, let's say, is foreseen for them. The location, these are about the location of the beneficiaries. These are the typical, let's say, requirements coming from the European Commission. They can come from EU member states or third countries, and so on and so forth. The micro consortium can be composed by only one organization, and this should be the first one, the non-profit educational institute, university, research, vocational school, whatever. Or it can be a micro consortium composed by many organizations, but again, the university, research, educational, non-profit organization should be the coordinator. Now, regarding the funding, the budget is 100,000 euros per application. The non-profit educational institutes, they can claim 100% funding. The SME is 70%, as I mentioned before. There is no budget foreseen for the large for-profit companies. The total funding for the second open call is 2.4 million, so we expect to have at least 24 applications, and there will be 3 installments for this budget distributed in the applications. Here I have included some links. I'm not quite sure if the slides will be shared later, but in any case, in the website of our project, the master-xr.eu, or in our LinkedIn page, you can find main information. Also at the info@master-xr.eu email, you can contact us and ask for any information. And I think, yeah, this is my last slide. Thank you very much for your attention, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Panagiotis. We move forward to Stavros Delavinias, Research Project Delivery Manager from Konnektable Technologies, who is going to present Augmentor.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you, Epaminondas. Hello, everyone. I'm Stavros Delavinias. I'm here on behalf of Konnektable Technologies Limited to give you a very brief presentation of our initiative, namely Augmentor, Augmented Intelligence for Pedagogically Sustained Training and Education. Augmentor is a pedagogical framework enhanced by artificial intelligence technologies, which facilitate the work of educators. It consists an intelligent tool that supports learning management systems and is fully integrated with Moodle. Augmentor also promotes essential skills of the 21st century, namely critical thinking, communication, collaborations, and creativity. These four Cs constitute learners' primary focus in the modern digital era. Augmentor is also an initiative funded through the Horizon Europe program of the European Union and is currently implemented in 10 European countries by 13 partner organizations. I'm sorry, yeah. Augmentor can be used beyond traditional school classrooms by educators in different educational settings. It enables individual learning based on advanced learning analytics, monitoring of learner needs, and informed decision-making on several educational issues, while also providing stakeholders with explainable recommendations for smart search and identifications of educational resources. Our Augmentor initiative has two main objectives. One, to develop a novel pedagogical framework that promotes both basic skills and 21st century competencies by integrating emerging technologies. Our second objective is to provide guidelines to stakeholders on how to address potential underlying educational difficulties and disabilities, shape individual learning paths, or identify cases of gifted and talented students to enable them to reach their full potential. Over the years, we have proceeded to the implementation of a series of activities that fall under four main project results. First, the development of a novel pedagogical framework for emerging technologies. Second, the integration of creative pedagogy in the Augmentor solution. Third, the development of an AI-boosted blended learning Augmentor platform. And last but not least, the validation and assessment of the theoretical and technological aspects of the Augmentor solution through a series of piloting workshops. I understand that the time is limited, so we'll skip a couple of slides. But before that, I want to show you the rationale behind the technical development of the Augmentor solution, and in that platform, the educator can type a feedback request within the platform, for example, for a specific course or a specific students, some details about a student. Then once the request is typed within the platform and the system receives it, the educator will receive a window with personalized feedback. So that's the main rationale. Similar logic applies also in cases where the educator requests recommendations for a particular student. The educator types their query in the platform, and once the query is received, the Augmentor solution generates personalized feedback regarding this particular student. Also, it is possible to edit, for the educator to edit this generated feedback, so the educator can make it more personal and enrich the recommendations provided. The next steps for our initiative, since it is very close to its completion at the end of December 2025, are the completion of the pilot testing sessions in partner countries, the integration of feedback received by the piloting sessions, and the finalization of the Augmentor solution. We're also currently developing a user guide to support users in their utilization of the Augmentor platform, but also we're going to organize a series of policymaking events in the upcoming months in partner countries. Thank you for your attention. You can access our website by scanning this QR if you're interested. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Stavro. And we're moving on to the final presentation from Jas Sekawat. Oh, sorry, you're going to do it, sorry.
Yeah.
From Holger. It's going to be for the XR4ED. I think it's close, sorry.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the invitation to present another European project. This XR4ED or XR for Education is European Horizon European project as well. It's aiming for knowledge entering the lowering the entrance barrier for content generation, especially educational content generation, as well of the second aim is then commercialization. So bring it to the end user through a marketplace. We have multiple models in the project. We have microservice backend architecture for extendability. We have an AR tool. We have an authoring tool for virtual reality. We have the marketer itself, and then we have asset generation, AI supported asset generation to to lower the entrance barrier. That was developed, the platform was developed in the first phase. We are now in the second phase. We had a goal roughly a year ago. And the open call was divided in two groups. One, 10 groups of for developers who should enrich and extend the existing platform and add technologies for, one example, accessibility. And then on the other side, we have content generation, 10 content generators. That was universities and vocational schools and so on. So we are aiming from school level up to adult education. For each of those projects, we had a grant of 230,000 euros. So in total, 4.6 million were or right now are given out. And on top of that, each of these technology providers, as well as the content generators, had to cover certain aspects. So either field trips, we have the training of, which is more in the vocational stuff, the training of young professionals, inclusivity, awareness, climate change, and so on, that are given guidelines to them. And we are now in the middle of those the space, and we will continue with the development and integration of the new technologies, which is a challenging part. And then later on, there will be the evaluation of the designed learnings or exercises that were created by the universities and the schools.
Thank you very much. So this was our session for today. I would like to thank everyone for your participation, especially the speakers, the online and the ones who are physically here. We thank you very much for your patience and at the same time for your participation. And if you want to learn more about all of the projects that were presented, we will share the presentations that we presented today. And you can stay tuned by following each of the projects on social media to know about the next steps and how we're moving on. Thank you very much.
Registering the HECOF newsletter.